Podcast at Ground Zero is presented to you by the Apocalypse. Because without the Apocalypse we wouldn't be doing this show.
Greetings, friends of the Apocalypse. This is Podcast at Ground Zero, your home for the Apocalypse, for episode 93, All of Us Are Dead. I am the Apocalypse Nerd, and he is Adam Bomb Glancy. Welcome to the Wasteland.
Excellent. And we've got some pretty decent apocalypse this time around, even if it is a micro-apocalypse.
It is a micro-apocalypse.
A contained apocalypse.
And the thing that I'm happiest about is this is, it's been about a month, and I think we've been averaging about one episode a month. We've been getting better. We're getting better, folks. My goal, because this is episode 93, it's pretty sad that we're only at 93 after doing this for
56 years.
Probably we've been doing this for about 10 years now. We go in spurts, folks, and we did take a hiatus for a while, but my goal is to, before the end of this year, hit episode 100. That's my goal. So we're gonna have to probably do more than once a month, but we've been pretty consistent with that. So,
and fortunately, we've had a fair amount of apocalypse turn up.
We have, and Scott and I were talking pre-show about stuff. Because, we've been falling into the trap of being the review. But we do review stuff, but I don't want that to be solely. Because the thing is, earlier on when we were first recording, we covered a lot of broad topics. We covered, energy and communication and this and that. And I think in the early days, we were almost probably a little too broad. Tried to talk about too much at one time, and we probably could have broken topics down a little bit more to get more episodes, but hey, you learn in time. So we're probably going to go back through our list of what we've done, because we've covered a vast majority of the broad topics, and we're going to look and see if there's any way we can, maybe touch on some other aspects of those things that we've already kind of talked about a little bit, just to, kind of give a little bit, different show than just review, necessarily reviewing something. And, because we're not going to go too deep into stuff like, we talked about, I think we probably talked about food. Yeah, we did. We did talk about Apocalypse Chow. We talked about, that was the episode name, Apocalypse Chow. And we talked about food, but we're not going to do a show getting into details of how you should be preparing for the apocalypse by, making jarred jelly and canned goods and stuff like that. Because, we're not survivalists or preppers, they call them now. We're not that kind of unbalanced, so we're not gonna go that deep into that territory.
That's not where our nerding lies.
No, it's not. We're not into that. Preparing for the end type. We're not. That's not us. We just so we're gonna talk about things, but without going. Our nerddom falls into books and gamings and movies about the subject matter. We enjoy the subject matter. I really don't want there to be an apocalypse, because I would die in 5 fucking seconds. But I like this. But we like the subject matter.
We don't quite have the steel in our spines that we had when we were 20, and we were convinced that we'd all be living in shopping malls like Peter and Flyboy in Dawn of the Dead.
Dude, when I was like 14 and Red Dawn came out, and Red Dawn back then, I've said this 100 times, was a training film. Me and my friends had our plan to meet out in the Everglades at the fucking tower, and we were gonna survive this and that. I'm an armchair warrior of the apocalypse now. Okay, I'm not. That's not what I want anymore. It's like, I don't want that kind of struggle.
As long as you've brought up Red Dawn and how your perspective changes. Guy I know went to West Point. He's a game designer. He designed one of our board games. Phil Cortez, who designed one of our apocalyptic board game. I'm suddenly forgetting the name of it, and he'd never forgive me for it. But
I don't know what you're talking about. So,
well, anyways, he talked about, seeing Red Dawn. His sympathy was with, the Wolverines, but then he actually had to go to serve in Afghanistan and hunt down guerrillas and work with dodgy, dubious allies. And he's like, you know what? My sympathy's with, like, William Smith as Strelnikov, who comes in later and is like, yeah, we're not doing civilian reprisals anymore. We're not increasing, when they tell him, oh, we killed 12 of them. He said, 12? I saw 2. What are you talking about, 12? So, like, 2 bodies on the battlefield. Oh, they dragged the dead away. Let's mark down 12 anyways, He says, yeah, my sympathies after being in Afghanistan were actually with the Soviets characters in the movie after having had to do that job for real. It's amazing what 20 years will do to your perspective. Not to mention your goddamn job.
It's amazing what reality will do to your fantasy.
It really will. Luckily, we still have some good fantasy to talk about. So, is there anything on the horizon you want to talk about before we jump into Dead?
Yeah, we try to keep that to the off topic. Well, I try to, but sometimes we slip, but that's okay. But I know there's some other stuff we'll talk about at the end. Or actually, real quick, what was that one that you said was out there that I need to watch?
Black Crab.
Okay, I was gonna say Crab Walk. Black Crab.
Black Crab is set in a Denmark that looks like it's being Twilight 2000. We don't know quite who the enemy is. Although, they fly high and D helicopters, so maybe there's something there. But it's it's a war movie. It's very Third World War, and it's reducing Denmark to looking like the Balkans during the Balkan Wars of the 90s. You know what I mean? It's and it has a very Twilight 2000 look with, like, a war machine that's falling apart and things that are built out of scrap to try and maintain the momentum.
All right, I'll be sure to check that out. And I was thinking about that. Then we'll go on to the topic. Because they came out, because Free League came out with the new Twilight 2000. I see people post. We need to get our hands on a copy of it to look at it. You have a copy of it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, because we need to talk about that, because I've seen mixed. Because Free League is a good game company. They produce a lot of good stuff. And I know they had to adapt the Twilight 2000 to their system. I know there's some changes, and I know a lot of people are unhappy. There's a lot of people are unhappy with it, especially the old fans, because they want their military simulation game. And I know they went away from some of that military simulation.
Absolutely. They have absolutely abstracted a great deal of it. I mean, the original version 1 rules of Twilight 2000 were like advanced squad leader with some role-playing attached. It was very much a simulationist, almost a war game. Yeah,
and you know what? But again, different times, different game, so we'll I think we should even though we talked about Twilight 2000 a couple times, but we never talked about this new game. But this is a viable game. This is not like that joke Twilight 2013 that came out, Yeah. This is something that's viable because it is coming from a legit game company that puts out good content,
And the fans are swamping their Free League has an option where, as a fan, you can publish stuff, and they get a cut of half of it or whatever. The fans are absolutely overwhelming Drive-Thru RPG with new material. Where people are digging out their old campaigns and their old games and turning it into publishable material. It's really nice to see the fan support.
I thought Frank was kind of redoing some of his stuff for that.
He is, but that's going to be official publication. That's not going to be fan.
Oh, but no, that's good. It's that he's doing official publication stuff. So that's cool. So, all right. Yeah. So anyway, folks, so that's a topic I thought about. I wanted to get into was that new game. So anyway, let's talk about All of Us Are Dead. But again, you folks are used to us doing this. So All of Us Are Dead. All of Us Are Dead is a South Korean zombie Netflix show. It's 12 episodes long. It's about a zombie outbreak in South Korea. It focuses around a high school and this group of high school students.
The high school that is ground zero.
It is ground zero. It is literally ground zero for the problem. It's overall, it's like I said, it's it's a micro apocalypse because really it's ground zero. Like, it hasn't spread yet, and there's potential for it to spread further, even though the series has ended. It's like they technically could go broader with it if they wanted to, spread throughout the world because of where they left things off. Like I said, it's 12 episodes long, so you got 12 hours of content here. And I had said to Scott, I probably, I didn't watch 12 hours. I probably watched 10 hours because the one thing I found, and I forwarded through, there was a lot of parts that I fast forwarded through. Now, don't get me wrong, the series was good. There was some good stuff about it, but there was a lot of high school drama bullshit that, I really don't care about this. And the thing is, it wasn't like I was fast forwarding through like a minute. Some of this stuff would be a good 5, 6, 7 minutes long. Like, it wasn't short. It was like, okay, enough. Don't care about high school dynamics and this and that, And so there's a lot of shit I fast forwarded through. But there's also a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of good stuff to it too. There's a lot of good action scenes, I think. In this, there was a scene in this library, which I thought was really cool. The one scene in the library where the one guy goes in and he's trying to escape.
Going between the shelves, going under the shelves, going
over the shelves.
Yeah, that was a pucker factor of about 9.7. That was good.
It was a good scene. So a little bit background of it. So it takes place. There is a ground zero to it. And the problem is caused by a person in the show because somebody was trying to make something to help somebody out, their son. Yeah. So now,
unlock survival instincts so people wouldn't be bullied.
Correct. Now, so the big question is: are these zombies? Now, that's the big question. Is because the virus that the person makes, or it's a virus or whatever, I will just call it a virus. This shot that he makes, so it brings out, the survival, instinct. So it's almost like a rage virus at first, like from 28 days later. So the people aren't dead. It doesn't. I could be wrong, but I don't think when they originally get it, it doesn't. I don't think it kills them. Outright. I did not get the impression that they're dead. However, there are characters that take enormous amounts of damage. They definitely die.
And they're still coming back for more.
But they come back. See, that's the thing. Because, so this virus takes over. It's kind of like a rage virus, and they're alive, but it definitely kills if somebody dies during it, they come back. Because it's all about the virus, because it is a virus, because they talk about how it wants to spread like any virus. It wants to propagate, so it turns these people into these rage creatures and wants to attack other people because it wants to spread it.
Now there's some biting, and it's interesting because the whole getting bit thing sort of starts off in two different ways. There are people who go down under a pile of zombies in quotes. But when they get up, they're bitten all to shit. They've got multiple ragged, nasty bite, but they're not pulled open and their guts dragged around and dismantled like George Romero zombies do to their victims, right? That's not what's happening. It's about biting them to get the infection into a new host.
Yes.
Yeah. At least that's how it starts. But the virus won't stay still. So the zombies at the beginning of the story are not the zombies by the end. Because the virus keeps finding new and better ways to survive and spread.
And there's also some other, I don't want to spoil that stuff, but...
Can't spoil too much. Let's not, you're right.
But we go beyond just, the rage zombies or the zombies. So there's some other developments, like Scott said, that it finds ways to survive. So there are some interesting aspects to this.
Yeah, at first there is a way to separate the infected from the uninfected, and then suddenly that way goes away.
Yes.
Because the virus stops being successful when they can pick out the infected. So the ones, as it's constantly changing, it constantly comes with new versions, the version that isn't as easily detected, suddenly that's the successful version, and it starts spreading more, and it changes the whole battlefield. Yeah.
Correct. And most of the show takes place centered at this high school, and deals with these kids trying to survive. But it does break out of the borders, and it does start affecting other areas. It starts spreading throughout the city. It's this one city in South Korea.
It's right up next to Seoul. It would be like, an outbreak in Alexandria next to Washington, D.C., or Somersville next to Boston. It's a super close and not geographically distinct. There's not like a giant fucking river separating them. It's just one urban metroplex up against another, which is kind of terrifying to me. That there's
I think there's some mountains near there, which they have some separation of some areas, but it does start to break into another city, local city that's just right near it.
It's right on the edge of Seoul. Yeah, it's right on the edge of the capital. So.
But yeah, so it centers around the high school kids. Well, they're going through trying to survive, trying to communicate. It eventually, becomes a problem enough to where the military takes notice and they start doing what they do. And eventually, they lock down the city, declare martial law, because it's just getting that far out of hand because they're trying to contain it. The person who is the person involved with creating the problem, is there. Locally he gets identified and tells them about it and what he needs to do, and they try to get that to the military and all those hijinks that are involved with that.
Yes, there's always the laptop you got to get out of the kill zone, with the data on it, and that is a subplot of the story. But at the same time, it's not the main drive of a lot of the story. It does a pretty good job of balancing what's going on in the outside world with what's going on with the kids who are under siege. But God knows, I love a bureaucratic apocalypse. I love, sort of what we got in World War Z. About how does the system respond to this problem, and we get some of that, but maybe not enough for my taste.
Oh, but it's definitely there, with
Yes.
with the politicians and the there's politicians involved who get trapped in an area.
The military is there. You've got guys from the KCIA, the Korean Central Intelligence Agency, who are like, okay, here's how we're running out of time, kids. Here's the math on how this thing spreads. And, so that part, there's a lot of it. I would, of course, have wanted more. And I'll tell you what, one of the things I really liked, Jared, was in the early episodes where you start off with, oh, somebody's affected by this. We should hold them down. And we should put a gag in their mouth. And, oh, I got nipped while I put a gag in the mouth. That's not going to be a problem. And we should put them in the back of a police car. And, how each of these responds, where it's just one kind of snowballs, and you get to see that. You get to see how each response to the problem, not understanding the problem, helps the problem accelerate. Oh, we have to get these people to a hospital.
Yeah. There's the one person who was the problem,
Yeah.
got brought to a hospital. But the thing is, before that person got taken to the hospital, they caused a problem with some other people, which would eventually escalate, and then they were in a hospital, and then that escalates there, and then that is, then they take that person from there and bring him to the police from the hospital, who came from the high school to the hospital to the police station, and you see how they just keep on, they give it a helping hand.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the first response stuff turns out to help the problem get worse. Because they don't know what the problem is, and so they have no way to really respond properly. Um, the one thing I would have liked to have seen a bit more of is that, and you see it in the previews, is that wall of running zombies or whatever heading straight at the lines of riot police. Like they think they can deter this like a rioting mob. We'll just fire some tear gas and hit them with clubs, and they'll give up, right? Eventually, people will decide I don't want to get hit with clubs, and that'll solve the whole problem, right? No. Oh boy, no. So what you like about Zeke? He is not easily deterred.
And well, they also really don't understand what's going on yet when they start doing that.
But they do have a cultural. They admit that this is taking place in a world where they have cultural touchstones. Because what does one of the kids say? One of the kids goes, "Oh my God, it's Train to Busan."
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Like, I never see Train yet. They mention Train to Busan in it.
Yeah. And now these zombies don't work on the same rules.
No.
That Train to Busan zombies do. So once again, it's the movie lied. We got that standard problem where if you take your moves from the movie from fiction, you could find yourself in deep shit.
Well, yeah, because one of the things is, you can kill them. It's hard to, but the location that you have to disable was unique. You had the neck.
It feels like it's got to be in the neck. It's like it's at the very base of the spine. Like only that really base of the spine, primitive part of the brain is working. Base of the brain, top of the spine, like right in there. So neck breaking turns them off.
I don't know if I saw that, but the thing is, the archers,
yes,
were shooting. They kind of started to figure it out because we have a group of students who are at an archery competition came back and they have all their arrows and they're shooting in normal locations. It's not doing anything, but eventually they figure out when they get them in the neck that it works, so they start shooting them in the neck.
Yeah. Same thing with the guys using the knives from the school cafeteria. They suddenly figure out, oh, all right, I should stab them in the neck. Certainly the military shoots the shit out of those zombies. They do figure out how to shoot a zombie. And it doesn't take days. It takes like a day. But, there's a lot of fucking casualties that first day.
Oh yeah, they just basically are unloading into them, and the odd shot lands where it needs to land. But they do eventually figure out in time, like you said, how to do it. But a lot of the show is it's focuses on a lot of these groups of kids. There's a couple of pockets in the school, and they
slowly come together,
showing their survival, and a lot of it's because they're like, oh, we'll get rescued, they'll find us, we got to figure out how to communicate, and
they very quickly figure out that the adults are not coming.
Well, not very quickly. It takes them getting to the roof and having almost a rescue to figure out that they're not coming.
Or worse, they're not a priority.
They're not.
That saving them just isn't a priority in the middle of this shit. And, I will say this for it as well. We're all dead is, all of us are dead, excuse me. All of us are dead is not afraid to kill anyone at any time, no matter how much you like them or how well they've done so far. Holy shit, people get killed all over the fucking place.
It's worse than English TV, because English TV is good about killing off characters that you like. Yeah. There is no holds barred in this. There's people that you start to like and like, what the fuck, Yeah.
Yeah. There's guys that you mark as a casualty from the moment you meet them, and they might be the ones alive at the end. God knows there are people I picked out as, that's a casualty. Nope. Nope, that was the guy who made it. And I was absolutely shocked that that person made it, in the face of all this. Um, but uh, it it covers a lot of good survival stuff well in certain ways. I did like the sort of way that there's a
Pooping?
lot about them bonding. Sorry, what?
The pooping, how they deal with their pooping.
Oh my God, that part where it's like, and now we have to shit. What are we going to do about this? Have you ever? But certainly, I was going to think about how they start off with no connections, and by the end of it, the only people they feel that they connect with are their fellow survivors from their group. Like
Yeah.
other groups of survivors aren't real to them or aren't, the same people, that the traumatic experience has sort of driven them into this group survival mode. I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, they bonded for sure.
You know,
Which again, folks, is some of the bonding and some of the, it's like, okay, you know what, I
the
could.
politics the group get a little slow, to say the least.
Yeah, and then there was some stuff of, there was some mushy stuff too, believe it or not, like recording messages and, in case somebody finds it, it's just like, okay, all right, okay, we don't need, I get they're trying to do, we could have made this a quick montage.
You don't have to show us. You don't have to show us. You don't have to show us every message.
Yeah, we could have montaged this and got through this pretty quick. I didn't need to spend 10 minutes watching each person recording their personal, message. It's like, okay, there was definitely areas they could have cut corners in quite a few places. It probably could have. They probably could have got it down to 9 to 10 episodes if they really wanted to.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There are very few problems with it as far as special effects. There may be some CGI blood that you will not be totally happy with. My only real gripe technically was there's a scene with a bunch of drones.
Yeah, that CGI was pretty bad.
I was not happy with the drones. I thought there was too many of them. There's too many of them, and yeah, they didn't look great. But apart from that, technically, I thought it looked pretty goddamn good.
It did. A lot of the makeup effects were good. Just a lot of the practical effects. And the drone thing was a good idea because, the drones were the military, and they found a way to do some stuff because these zombies were, like most zombies, I think more so than others, noise was a big factor with them.
And they definitely made it special for this particular brand of zombie in a way that I hadn't seen before.
Oh, yes, because sound, okay, we won't spoil that part, but yes, sound does play a part in this, and they discover some interesting things about it. So,
yeah. But certainly when they find a means of attracting zombies, which again is certainly a thing that's been used in zombie apocalypses in the past, I was very happy where they play they try to attract the zombies, and zombies come running and will just run face first out glass windows 5 stories up, not giving a fuck. They just know they need to go towards the thing and just boop out a window, drop to the pavement. I was like, yeah, Zeke is persistent, just not very bright.
Yeah, they're definitely single focused, especially when you hit that the noise, the sound attraction. It's like it doesn't matter what's there.
However, one of the things that just I will always love, and is that thing where the guy uses, "Can I attract the zombies in the construction site?" At the end, it's like second to last episode, right before the military starts bombing everything, where he's standing on the other side of the open elevator shaft.
Oh, that was a nice little trick.
I was so happy for that because again, I love the fact that the zombies don't learn. One zombie runs towards the guy, steps into the elevator shaft. This does not deter the 30 or 40 zombies coming at them. They just do not learn from mistakes. So they keep doing the same stupid thing over and over again because they have just an on and off button. I thought that was a beautiful moment. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, this is definitely the basis one, but there are other zombies.
Yes, that is not every zombie.
Nope.
Is not every zombie.
As you will
Holy
see,
shit.
There, like we said, there is evolution in this virus. So,
oh yeah, and it's not done. By the time you get to the end of the film, but you check back in, and holy shit, it's not done changing. It's not. So that was interesting, And yeah, open it up for possibilities of more, But,
well, absolutely, because there's an unknown amount of that X factor out there that they don't know. They don't even know about.
Yep, they do not know that they do not know. So congratulations, Korea. This may turn out to be a problem later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all in all, it's a pretty successful, pretty well executed zombie apocalypse. It's no Train to Busan because it's 12 hours long.
Yeah.
Train to Busan got its business done in a beautifully crisp, contained way. This, because it's got 12 episodes, it meanders a little. It meanders because it's got the room, and sometimes that room isn't always used the best way.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of up and down for me with it. Like, there was a lot of good stuff going. Like, okay, cool. Oh, this is pretty cool. Like, some good action, some good ideas, cool. Then it's like, oh my god, all right, come on, let's go, come on, let's get through this. Yeah. There was a lot of that, but there's also a lot. I believe there is more good than bad in this.
Absolutely,
there's a lot, way more. But to me, the bad is just like, okay, moving on.
Look, it wasn't Revolution. Remember that one?
Oh, you know what?
I couldn't finish it.
I tried to block it out, but now you just reminded me of it.
I tried to finish it. I worked hard to try and finish it because I felt I owed something to the podcast. And at some point, I started to learn to hate the podcast because it was making me watch this show.
I think I watched a few episodes of Revolution, and once I found out it was, the whole thing was just nanobots causing the whole problem, I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. This is bullshit, and I stopped watching it.
That was back when nanobots were the flavor of the month for any time they needed, a story thing that didn't make sense, that defied science.
Anytime you needed advanced technology, it's nanobots, because that was like early 2000s, if I remember correctly.
Yes, yeah. It was the phlebotinum. It was the it sounds like science, but it's just fantasy.
Well, yeah, because that was around the time that the 6th iteration of Gamma World came out. That was put out by Sword and Sorcery. That was put out by the company Sword and Sorcery, who did D20 product. Their Gamma World Apocalypse was nanobots.
Yep.
So that was during that time frame when you said those early aughts, nanobots were the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's nanobots.
That explains everything, or nothing.
Yeah.
Actually, it explains nothing.
It explains nothing. It was a Deus Ex Machina of the whole thing. Nanobots!
Yeah, that's exactly right. I can't wait to see what the next thing is that we don't really understand that we can just throw out there. I mean, and that'll be the new writer's room trick to explain everything,
Well, but, okay, all right. But you know what?
Yeah?
The early... when did Hugh Howe write his books?
You know what?
His whole thing was nanobots, dude.
Yeah,
but you know what?
It worked.
But it worked.
I believed in his nanobots because he was able to. He actually used his nanobots as a way to fix cryogenetics, right? Which I loved. I thought that was fantastic, and I loved the idea that once nanobots exist, we have to preemptively apocalypse the world before somebody else does. That is a fabulous plot line, that this weapon system that could be all over you and you'd never know it. You wouldn't have symptoms. You wouldn't have a fever or reaction until a signal goes out to turn it on and it, attacks. That was a super cool apocalypse. And I believed in those nanobots. Sorry. Hugh did a good job.
Well, yeah, well, I think he wrote that in the early teens or something. So it was past the nanobot craze, I believe, but it worked. But anyway, let's circle back to again. All of us are dead. So yeah, folks, that's. I mean, we're not gonna really go. There's a lot to the story. You know, there's a lot of interaction. There's a lot of relationships with students with each other, friends, parents. You know, everybody. It's there's a lot more to this story. So, but again, it's a little long. Some areas it gets a little slow. I found it painful, so that's why I just fast forwarded through it. So, but I
don't know how I'm going to get you through Station 11. I
don't know, man. Just the way you've been warning me, I'm like, I'm just not. I'm scared.
Let me assure you that by comparison, all of us are dead as a fucking roller coaster compared to the funeral procession that is Station 11. It's too slow. It's very slow.
Well, slow doesn't necessarily bother me as long as it works.
Okay.
I'm not like my wife who needs everything to be, a lot faster and like I'm bored, but it has to, slow doesn't bother me, but it has to work though.
Okay.
So we'll see. But the up and down, but the thing is the downs were down. It's like, okay, I really don't care about, the dynamic between, the kids who've been friends for, since they were children, or the larger kid who could sing and this and that, and the smart kid. Okay, I don't care about those bullshit fucking high school dynamics. It's like it really, it added nothing to the story for me.
Understood. Yeah.
But folks, again, there's a lot of good action. I still think it's well put together. It is worth your time. This is said, if you hit some slow spots, don't be afraid to fast forward through it because you're not going to miss anything. You know what?
And it's bloody as all get out. It is not kidding.
It's yeah. So slow part. Don't feel bad about going through slow parts because you're not going to miss much. It's like like the scene where they're all recording their goodbye messages, hope somebody finds it. You could go through that whole because you're not going to miss anything. Just go right through it. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the fast forward button.
Because even weirder in that section, and I want to throw this out, there were a lot of kids who said goodbye messages and then found out that their parents had died. Like they were saying goodbye to people when they were expecting to die, but they live, and it's the people they think they're saying goodbye to are dead. They don't go back and really visit that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought there was going to be a payoff, like, there's mom and dad in the crowd of zombies, and which also brings me to the point that the opening credits, where you think you're looking at a petri dish with little viruses squirming around the petri dish, and as the camera closes in, you realize it's actually just a crowd of zombies pushing around. That was a really nice touch. That opening credit graphic of looking like it's a petri dish, but it's a crowd of people. Yeah, that was very cool.
And the thing is, those kind of scenes happen. You do see that actually happen. Those crowds of grabbing, reaching, biting, zombies. So, but overall, again, folks, I'll give it a thumbs up. I think it's worth your time. It's just, I said, it's 12 hours long. Just be prepared for that. Be prepared for some slow parts. But there's a lot of good to it. A lot of good action. Like I said, there's some stuff where I'm like, that's awesome. So there's some pretty cool stuff to it.
Oh, absolutely. And and some ruthless, horrible shit too.
There's some ruthless, horrible people in it.
Yeah. Well, there's some stuff where it's like, oh, well, that's a horrible thing to do to your neighbor, to buy yourself an extra 2 minutes of being alive. There's some of that stuff that goes on. But at the same time, I don't know, man. I was really, I was in. I was definitely on for the ride for the whole thing. Definitely enjoyed it, and also loved some of the social commentary where like some fucking assholes shoot a video for YouTube showing that the outbreak is outside the containment area because they're looking to get hits, and it causes a panic in Seoul because they pretended there was an outbreak. I totally believe that happening.
Oh, and the guy going into the zone just to try to get,
again,
get likes and, trying to prove that this is not real and this and that. Boy, does he learn he's fucking wrong,
Yeah. Yeah. That kind of stuff, I totally, but that seemed 100% likely to happen in real life.
Yeah.
Especially when they caught the guys who started the panic for making a video where they had somebody pretend to be a zombie on a train, and they get caught and they show him making a video where he says, "I'm really sorry, we want everyone to forgive us," and then they just start laughing in the middle of the video. It's like, fuck you, we got 800, our video's monetized, we're not apologizing for shit. And I'm like, yeah, that's people, that's humans. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, maybe he's not laughing as much once the martial law part started, because the military does not have a sense of humor in this movie at all. They do not. The ROK military they're serious.
They're not fucking playing.
No, they are not. And say what you want. Technically, they got the job done. You just have to, it's just a question of how much cauterizing do you want to do around that wound, and they do a lot.
Well, it's just simple calculations. What's our loss? What's our rate of return on this?
Yeah, they do the cold equations, about what it's going to cost to fix this problem, and they execute the plan all right. Yipes! But it's worth your time, kids. I think you'll be pretty happy with All of Us Are Dead.
And that's it, folks. So check it out. Like I said, we talked at the beginning about some stuff we're gonna try to get into in the future. And again, we're gonna try to pick up our pace a little bit. I said, I've been pretty happy that we've at least getting something out once a month, and we're gonna try to continue to try to amp that up a little bit. So look forward to some more content soon, folks. We appreciate it. As always, thank you for being us. I am the Apocalypse Nerd. He is Adam Bonglancy. Thank you, and good night.
Good night, folks.
If you enjoy the content we produce, please consider supporting us with a cup of coffee. Go to ko-fi.com/PCAGZ for more details. Keep up to date with us by visiting podcast@groundzero.com and subscribe to the blog via email.